it's just not going to sound really well. I said, well, maybe I can give a band member a kazoo so it's loud enough. And then Bill says, let's get kazoos for everybody. So literally, we had many people, Bill, were at the gathering. We had 300 or 400 kazoos.
Well, it's the power of a shared experience, you're doing something completely out of your normal routine. And most of us, traveling in a foreign country. So all this newness.
I started in the Puy, so I got like a double dose of the Camino. Typically people start maybe at Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, but this time I got to be able to go right all the way from the Puy. It was amazing. 2 months of walking. It was just very transformational.
For me, it was people having fun. The whole time people were singing. We had all the different songs we did it. We picked songs that everybody pretty much knows.
Picking songs based on how much enthusiasm I was getting back on the emails and on the Zoom meeting.
Just before I was packing, I thought, you know what? The one thing I could probably carry to Vancouver is harmonicas. So I just threw a handful in there, play that.
I was quiet enough inside that it was enough for me to just listen to my own breath, the sound of the waves, the sound of the birds, whatever else was going on. But anyway, I just wanted to play this. It became, I actually developed it as I was walking.
Well, this was, I think, the most, there wasn't any negativity around it. It was a pretty straightforward, Feliz Banda de Peregrinos or Peregrinas. So it translates nice in Spanish too. We're happy people. And so we like to bring happiness.
Hello, pilgrims. Here we are in another episode of the Way to Your Way podcast. Today we have our bigger group since we started in a year that we have been recording podcast. And this interview is going to be with a group of people that belongs to a Merry Band. Merry Band is a group that was formed in 2021 in Indiana on the St. James celebration in order to put a little more emotions to the gatherings, to meetings with all the pilgrims here in the US and now in Canada as well. And then starting in 2021 during COVID time, that Bill Arts started on that process of forming the group with other people that today they are not all here. And then I met the band in our last gathering that was in Canada, in Vancouver, that was organized between American Pilgrims on the Camino and the Canadian Company of Pilgrims. And part of that celebration during those 3-4 days, the Merry Band was playing very nice music. And that's why we're bringing here today to talk a little bit about each of them. And then on the other side, we have here a diverse professional careers representative. So we have Bill, that he's a CPA and he's also working in a bank. And we have Becky, that she's a physician and that she's retired right now, but she that's her profession. And we have Chuck, that he's a cartographer, so pretty convenient for the Camino because there are a lot of maps in the Camino de Santiago. And then we have Nathan, that he's a musician and he is a singer. He's also done a lot of things with music, and he plays a lot of instruments as well. And one of them is going to be the Chapman Stick, that at some moment of the conversation today, we're going to ask him to play a little bit. So welcome everybody today. And thank you for being here today. And we're going to be asking different questions. But first of all, Nathan, I would like that you introduce yourself. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. What would you like me to say, good sir?
I'd like to know, so what brings you to the Camino de Santiago? What made you to do that first Camino?
I've done 3 Caminos. My first, like probably many people, was the French Camino, which I walked in 2019. And like most people, I was inspired by The Way, the movie that Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez did. And probably like a lot of people, I thought, I'll do that someday. And I put it on my bucket list over there. And a few years later, interestingly, I was with my mom, and she loves to watch movies. And we watched Castaway with Tom Hanks. And there was something about Castaway. I was really struck. I'd seen it before, but watching it again, I was really struck with the importance of the present moment. The present moment is all we really have. And at the end of the movie, I thought again about my decision to walk the Camino someday. And I thought, what am I waiting for? The only moment we have is now. So I made the decision right then and there. My birthday present to myself that year would be to walk the French Camino. So I started on my birthday in 2019. And of course, it was life-changing, as I'm sure all of us will talk about.
Thank you, Nathan. So what about you, Bill? Can you say how you interested in the Camino?
I walked my first. I've done 3 Caminos. I walked my first one, or actually, I biked my first one in 2014. I did it by bicycle. Similar to Nathan, I had been inspired to do it by watching the movie The Way. Actually, I had eye surgery, and I watched the movie while I was recovering from eye surgery. And so I told myself when I got healed from my surgery that I would go and do the Camino. So a year later, I went and rode my bike from Saint Jean, and I've since walked from Leon and also the Portuguese coastal. So, and I'm actually leaving again in another 2 weeks to walk the Inglés. So,
oh, that's nice. So that's really nice. Okay, what about you, Becky?
I was in a near fatal car accident almost 10 years ago. Shattered both arms, shattered one leg, had to learn to walk again. I was in a wheelchair for 3 months. And while I was recovering from that, when I finally got home from the rehab center, my husband said, "Oh, I've got this great movie. You should watch it." And it was The Way. Thank you, Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. And I got inspired. And I said, I want to do a pilgrimage of gratitude that I've survived this horrific car accident. And at that point, I was walking with a walker. I could walk about 30 steps on my front porch. And I said, okay, I could get a certificate for 100 kilometers. That I've done I've officially done a pilgrimage, and that's 60 miles. That's 5 miles a day. It took me 2 years to work up from 30 steps with a walker to 5 miles a day with a backpack. But my husband and I went in 2018 and did a first short Camino, fell in love with it. He went back and did the whole Frances the next year. Since then, I've walked on Camino 8 times, including in 21, I did all the way from Saint Jean to Santiago. And I'm going back. I'm starting in Le Puy in the middle of September, just to do about a 2-week stretch. So it's been life-changing for me.
Oh, that's super interesting. And I'm sorry to hear about the accident, but
Hey,
then,
I survived.
yeah,
It's all good.
yes, and pretty much I'm gonna tell you another story after, but let's follow with you, Chuck. How you get involved with the Camino?
I think it was 2004. It was one of those situations where I heard the word Camino 3 times. And looking back, I discovered it was a holy year, so maybe that was part of it. Anyways, I was quite intrigued, and I thought, well, I'll save that for when I retire. And then it started dawning on me, why would I wait till I retire? So I told a friend of mine that I was interested in doing the Camino. Like Bill, I'll probably do it by bike. And he says, "Oh, that Camino, it goes through my hometown in Germany because there's that network all through Europe of Caminos that get you to Santiago." So he says, "Oh, it's a beautiful walk. You should walk the Camino, and not only that, but you should take me." So I thought it was quite neat. So by 2006, we had our plans, and like Becky, who's going to be doing, I started in Le Puy, so I got like a double dose of the Camino. Typically people start maybe at Saint Jean Pied de Port, but this time I got to be able to go right all the way from Le Puy, and it was amazing. 2 months of walking. It was just very transformational.
Oh, that's super interesting history. Well, I'm gonna tell you about the Camino, about the history to complement what you just said, Becky. My wife, in 2020, the end of 2020, when we're COVID time, she got breast cancer, and after the breast cancer, she was got into surgery in 2021, about February of 2021. And I don't know if you remember that, but that was approximately the time when the vaccine of COVID came in the market. And while she was doing, everything was well after the surgery, but still the physicians wanted to do preventive chemotherapy. And when she was on the chemotherapy, and it was a time when everybody said you cannot have the vaccine of COVID because it's too dangerous and all that. But suddenly, the physician changed their mind and said, well, now everybody that have on their chemotherapy treatment, they can have the vaccine. For her, that was a really difficult moment when she got the vaccine and also the chemotherapy. And for taking a shower, after taking a shower, she felt like she was running a marathon just with a shower. And for her was like a challenge that she needed to see that's something that I still can do. Walk. And what about the Camino? Something she knew about the Camino before that, but she never have to say, we're going to walk. So in 2023, we walked our first Camino, and it was a short Camino, and then was the Costa Portuguese. And by the time that she was showing, because she's the one that like to see a lot of videos, a lot of information about the Camino, books, and all that. From time to time, I started watching some of those videos. And when I start watching those videos, I say, wow, this is super interesting. This is something really nice to see. And that's why now I'm involved in all this about the podcast and everything. This is probably like an episode. I lost the memory how many has been recorded, but probably it's going to be 50 something. And then has been very nice to talk with a lot of different people and a lot of different backgrounds, but all have in common the Camino de Santiago. And the reasons, as all of you mentioned, are all different, but at the end there are similarities. And like I believe that all of you, I don't recall if you, Chuck, say the same as well, but I believe that all of you mentioned the movie The Way. Is that correct?
I did.
I saw The Way eventually, yes.
Yeah.
But I have to say that one of the ones that really inspired me was a French movie. It's called Saint-Jacques-le-Mec.
Okay.
It came out in 2005, so that was sort of the equivalent of The Way, I suppose.
Yeah. The Way was not at the time. Was about 2010, something like that. Okay. Well, but after 2010, that is like an increase, especially in the US side. And I don't know if Canada is the same, but in the US, it was a lot of people that started finding out about the Camino. And now in the US, I believe that is the second one in sending pilgrims that are getting the certificate.
Yes, the United States is the first country outside of Spain, has the most people that get earn compostelas outside of Spain. So I think last year was over 32,000 Americans.
Yeah.
But the Spanish it's far more Spanish people do the Camino than anywhere else. It's probably
200-something thousand.
Few 100,000, 300,000 or something like that Spanish. So
yeah.
I don't know where the Canadians fall in the ranking, but much smaller population. So it's just, but the United States, as far as our earning of compostelas, been growing very rapidly and strong over the last post-COVID. It's really increased quite a bit for Americans.
Yes. So that has been really nice experience all around. So today we're here, and we wanted to know a little more, Bill, and because you're like one of the founders of the Merry Band, how this idea came to life.
So the idea came to life back in 2021. We had gotten off. We had not done an annual gathering because of COVID, and the American Pilgrims hadn't done a gathering. But so what we decided to do was do a St. James celebration in lieu of a gathering. And it was a little different format because we didn't want it to be similar to the format that we do of a gathering. So we looked for activities for people that were going to attend the celebration to do some things, whether it be some help with not-for-profits in the local area or just different activities for people to do. So one of the ideas that I came up with, and Sarah, who unfortunately wasn't able to make it, we came up with the idea of having a band, having people bring instruments and play. And we weren't really sure how it was going to work, if people really were going to bring their instruments or not. And so, but they did. We had about maybe 10 to 12 people that and we had a few people that brought guitars, a couple people brought ukuleles, and we had some singers. So, but the original idea came from where I got it from was that I had taken lessons at the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago, and they offer ensemble classes. So at the end of the ensemble, there's always a performance. So I figured if we could just bring people together and figure it out, that we would kind of take that similar approach. So that's what we did. People, we came up with a couple songs and we played a few songs. I don't think we played very many songs the first year. And then Becky joined us, and she's got much more experience with music. And so she kind of took over and manages the band now in terms of just the performances. So people, it's interesting. It's a very democratic process, I think. At the end of the day, everybody kind of contributes that. And we have repeat people that come, and I've played since the beginning. I think I missed my first performance was the St. James celebration, but Becky's been with us since 22, and obviously this gentleman joined us this year from Canada. So we're a growing international phenomenon.
That sounds really interesting. How it was formed the band, and then Becky. So then that's the mic is for you. So, what made you to join this initiative from Bill, and how has been since 2022 until now 2025?
Oh gosh, what a journey! So having walked my long Camino in 2021, the Camino's become a passion. So they announced the dates for the gathering in 2022. And there's this little note that said, oh, we're going to have a pickup band. Check this box on the application if you're interested. And so I checked the box, and I sing, I play recorder. I figured, well, I can do one of both. So showed up. Bill, how many did we have that year? About 15 people, I think.
Yeah, about 15.
And so Bill had organized some rehearsal time, I guess the first day when we got there. So we've got 15 people sitting around a room, and we had met on Zoom before, and we'd agreed, okay, let's sing this song and this song. And Dan Mullins, Somewhere Along the Way, was one. The Byrds, I Am a Pilgrim, was one. We had about a half a dozen. And we're kind of sitting around. It's like, well, okay, let's practice this. And everybody's staring at each other because it's a lot of people these are people that sit around the campfire with their friends and play a guitar. And they're not used to ensemble singing. Music has been a hobby and a passion of mine since I was 5. And I've performed in vocal groups, and I've learned a lot from conductors. And so I said to Bill, hey, do you mind if I just set the tempo and say 1, 2, 3, go, and just get everybody started? And I think, Bill, you kind of looked relieved when I offered to do that. And so I picked a tempo, and 1, 2, 3, 4, everybody go, and got everybody started. And so we made it through. Then the following year, when signups for the gathering came around, and there's this little checkbox that says, would you like to be in the music group? At that point, we hadn't named it the Merry Band yet. So I checked off the box, and then when it said, what instrument do you want to play? I just put in, could I be the director? And they said, yeah, go ahead. And then Bill's right. It's super democratic. Bill, was that the year that we named it the Merry Band?
Yeah, we had,
Yeah.
I think, because there are a number of iterations around the name, and I don't remember all of them. But the name so we had a vote. A bunch of people made recommendations, and the one we voted on was a derivative. The Merry Band of Pilgrims comes from the derivative of Merry Band of the Merry Pranksters. So from the Ken Kesey book back in the 60s, the Merry Pranksters. So we named the band after that. That's kind of where the name comes from, the Merry Band of Pilgrims. So we just travel around and do hippie-like things, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's where the name comes from. It was basically everybody kind of threw in ideas, and we voted on it, and that's the one that we picked that year. And so it was kind of stuck. We were struggling just because of, we had the traveling musicians back in the medieval times. Minstrels. We had minstrels was part of a name one time, and there's just different things. And so this was, I think, the most. There wasn't any negativity around it. It was a pretty straightforward, Feliz Banda de Peregrinos or Peregrinas. So translates nice in Spanish too. We're happy people, and so we like to bring happiness. It's a good thing.
Yeah, and the name is stuck. And
yeah,
and oh my gosh, we had such an active email exchange going on that year with the group. We had well over 20 people. And we've continued to do the same thing. We'll call a Zoom meeting at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of the season after people have signed up to go to the gathering, and put a call out. It's like, hey, what do you want to sing this year? And in 24, a lot of people really wanted to sing Dan Mullins' Somewhere Along the Way. And I said, we can't sing it because we're opening for Dan, and he wants to sing his own song. So we got to sing that one this year. Dan wasn't at this year's gathering.
We have some songs we play just about every year. We've played some songs, and Dan's Somewhere Along the Way is typically one of them. We used to do Country Roads by James Taylor. That was always one that we've had in our back pocket too. So the other thing that's nice is that when like people that are ringers like Nathan come in and they add a lot of value, a lot of, we get a few people that really know how to play really well, and it just adds to the band, and it's so much more fun. It's much more entertaining for us and for the people, frankly, all the people, all the pilgrims. So people seem to enjoy it. I think it's one of the most popular things, or at least in terms of when we take surveys post gatherings, or it's always turns out to be one of the more popular things that people really enjoy to do, is getting everybody involved in singing and music. So it's just a lot of fun.
Yes, music brings a lot of happiness all the time in all occasions, and then you, Nathan, that you are involved in that war all the time. You should be super happy all the time. And so now your turn. How you get involved into the Merry Band, Nathan?
Well, as has been described when I put in my application, I think there was some mention made of the band, and I thought, well, of course, if I can contribute to that, if that would be useful, helpful. And then, as Becky said, there's just this incredible exchange of email and song. think there was some mention made of, the band. And I thought, well, of course, if I can contribute to that, if that would be useful, helpful. And then, as Becky said, there's just this incredible exchange of email and songs and choices and lyrics and what do people know and chords and all the rest of it. And, so it took me a little bit to kind of hone in on what to expect. And I think by the time I got there, I was ready. It's like, these are people who are amateurs, who love to play, who probably don't get an opportunity to play with others often, if at all. And I thought, that's cool. And to use Bill, the word you used, ringer. There were a couple of ringers in the band this year. So Chuck was one of them. And I think Chuck was the name of the other fellow we were sitting with. And so I thought, okay, so the three of us were kind of sitting close together. And went, okay, so we're solid together. And hopefully, it did seem that we kind of helped the whole thing to kind of come together nicely. But it was fun to be a part of something that big. And I remember when I first walked into where we were all going to be, I went, oh my God, there were 15 of us, 20 of us. I mean, there were a lot.
25.
Big group of people, lots of instruments. I went, okay, well, lots of energy here, lots of desire. And it worked. It was a lovely experience.
That's good. Do you remember how many people were in Vancouver? Were there 25?
Becky would know.
There were... It was 23 to 25. At one point there were 22 people on the email list that I would send stuff out to. So I would be number 23. And I think we picked up one or two kind of at the last minute.
We have quite a few people, volunteers that sing too, just
right.
So you get probably 10 people that are singers, and then the rest are 3 or 4 ukuleles, a few acoustic guitars, harmonica. It's great. All kinds of good stuff, all kinds of different instruments, so it's fun. And kazoos. Kazoos this year.
Oh God.
300 kazoos.
So democracy at work, when we put out the call for, what songs would people like to sing, somebody put out, always look at the bright side of life, Monty Python, Life of Brian. And I'm thinking, oh God, I don't know what to do. But everybody loved it. So I said, okay, this is a democracy. Let's do it. And then then there's that little whistling part. I can't whistle, so I'm not going to demonstrate it. But it's like, how are we going to do whistles? It's just not going to sound really well. And I said, well, maybe I can give a band member a kazoo, so it's loud enough. And then Bill says, let's get kazoos for everybody. So literally, we had how many people, Bill, were at the gathering? We had 300 or 400 kazoos.
Playing kazoos, right?
Yeah.
It's a very Monty Python moment, though, I will say. It has to be. I mean...
Yeah, but a very unifying moment. I mean, to have that much fun together was...
Absolutely. It's not easy to involve everyone in some topic. And at that time, everyone was involved into that moment. Yes. So, well, Chuck, what would you say? So, how did you get involved into the Merry Band?
Yeah. So, what happened was a fellow named Tom Friesen, who is in London, at the London chapter. We've often got together and sung some songs, and he says, "Oh, I was down in Texas. They had this great big bash, the Americans, and they had this Merry Band of Pilgrims." And he says, I think they're going to do it again when they get to Vancouver, and you should sign up, because, of course, we had played and sung together before. So anyways, I said, oh, gosh, I don't want to bring my guitar on the plane. It's always a hassle. So I was going to kind of maybe just sing at best, maybe. And what happened was Mary Virtue from Victoria, she said, I'll get you a guitar. I know somebody in Vancouver with a guitar. So she found one at the last minute. And anyways, just before I was packing, I thought, you know what? The one thing I could probably carry to Vancouver is harmonicas. So I just threw a handful in there. And it's funny, every time you put your harmonicas on the carry-on, the security always looks at it funny. It must look funny in the X-rays or something like that. So, anyways, I always get kind of hassled. What are those? And I pull them out, and they're fine with it then. So, anyways, I got there, and I think I was talking to Nathan. I said, "Any idea what the songs are?" And he says, "Oh, there's a Dylan song, and there's a Billy Joel song." And I thought, "Oh man, this is perfect. I got the harmonicas. I'm all set." So it really worked out well. It was a very spontaneous gesture on my part. I wasn't going to bring those harmonicas, but at the last minute they got thrown in, and I think it really turned out really well, actually.
It did turn out well. That was one of the high points of the performance as well. Everybody really enjoyed the harmonica solos. Chuck did a great job. It was awesome.
I refer to Chuck as our secret weapon. I remember. Yeah, I agree, Bill. But I think it was a highlight when you started playing. Everybody was like, "Oh!" You know. So
if you didn't have that harmonica, Chuck, we were going to have to do that line with a kazoo. So
that would have been good too.
Oh, thanks for that.
Okay, so another question for you about, because everybody was playing on that day on Vancouver. What memory do you have for that moment? Anyone?
Standing up front, listening to the very first time that 350 kazoos all piped in. I lost it. It's this wave of kazoo sounds.
Yeah, a very emotional moment. Anything else that you recall for that moment?
For me, it was people having fun. You know, the whole time people were singing. We had all the different songs we did. We picked songs that everybody pretty much knows. There's not a lot of. There's songs that are fairly popular songs, so people are eager to sing and join in, and it's just a lot of fun. It makes it easier for us too, especially for the people that aren't necessarily professional players. So it gets everybody together. It's just a good time, and then people are laughing and smiling, and it's just a lot of fun. It brings people together, especially this year in terms of just the things that are going on in the world. I think it's just a nice, good moment to have some fun and just relax and enjoy being together. Different being together and having fun.
Okay. And Nathan, what would you say that you are the professional representative of music here, because you that do day to day? So what would you say about that moment on that day?
You're on mute, Nathan.
Sorry. Off the top of my head, the first two things I want to say are I was very pleasantly surprised with how good the ensemble sounded. Because, you never know. The 25 people, it could have been pandemonium, timing issues, whatever, but it really gelled. It came together really nicely. So that's one thing. The other thing is I was really impressed with Becky. Both in terms of your leadership and just leadership beforehand in terms of, herding the cats, as it were. And secondly, on the day, just the way you showed up on the podium, the way you were representing all of us, I just felt, I really, really appreciated and felt your leadership in a very strong way. So both of those things are real highlights for me of that experience. Yeah, as well as, standing next to Chuck and Rick, I'm like, okay, it's all going to happen. I got a couple of guys I can count on. It's all going to happen. And it did. It was beautiful.
That's super nice. And what about you, Chuck? What would you say about that moment?
Yeah, sure. It was. I think it was the day before, the first evening. Nathan was part of a trio that was on the stage, and they nailed it, and it was great. And then when I discovered that he was going to be part of the Merry Band, I just kind of thought, oh, this is brilliant. I don't have to worry about anything here now. He's going to keep us honest. So he kept us on beat, along with Becky's direction, and we just sat back and had fun. That's the thing, everyone was there just to have fun, and we got a lot of energy from that crowd. Like, that was just amazing. They sang like I wouldn't have ever thought. They just came through. A good choice of songs that were selected, it was just perfect. So it was a, you know, I went with a group of 8 people from Edmonton, and they were just talking about it for days afterwards, just how much fun they had. And yeah, it definitely was a highlight, I would say, of the Vancouver event. So,
Yeah, the
well
one
done.
thing I want to just jump in quickly, just talk about the players, the people that did volunteer to play, because it's not just that we just show up, right? It starts basically in January. The event was, the gathering didn't happen until May, right? Late April. So everybody's working for 4 months behind the scenes. Becky's working with corralling people together. We're coming up with different ideas for songs, and then when we get there, people giving up free time to practice and play and learn how to, quickly kind of. It's a lot. It's amazing to me how it all comes together. I mean, obviously having people that play professionally help bring it gel it, which we always kind of fortunate. It's fortuitous that we have people that will want to play and do that and help kind of keep it organized and sound good. So, but there's work involved, and the one thing I regretted from this year, and Becky, you'll appreciate this, is that in the early years we used to have wine. And we didn't have any wine this year. We were so serious. We didn't have any wine. So, I mean, it's gotten to the point where it was just kind of fun. But now people really put, there's multiple people have done it for multiple years. People know what kind of they're doing. We bring in new people, and then people kind of just, we all come together and become friends. And then we do things. Some of us do a couple more years or whatever. But we do work. There is effort involved in it. It's not just something that happens that it's something that everybody, for which I'm grateful for everybody that puts work in and works hard and brings it all together, and then to have it come out to be such a wonderful thing or people really enjoy it. That's a really good feeling for everyone, for everybody that's playing up in the band, right? Because we're all taking a chance in a lot of ways just to put it out there. So
Yeah. Yes, Bill, you just mentioned something really, really important and very special. Here we have a team of musicians that are playing, and they are all in different places in the US and Canada, and they are all remote pretty much. And that accomplishment that then you have when you play in Vancouver, doing those practices and all that, it's not that easy to have everybody, like you say, the same tempo, everybody. So that's a teamwork and effort from a lot of people. Then what would you say, then comparing that with the day-to-day work environment, made that succeed at what happened in the gathering, and sometimes people stress too much when they are working, and solutions are always easy to find. There be some solutions that can take more time to happen, but at the end, there are a lot of time when you are working, people stress too much in the final result and do not look into the better way or easy way to approach to a solution. What would you say why this succeed and it was everybody was very different places?
are you asking anyone in particular or?
Yeah, to you.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, relative to work and team, organization and dynamics. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things around that, and then obviously you have people that are more skilled than others, so you got to bring people together. I think one of the most amazing things to me about the band is that we are able to work everybody in. From the person that has most reluctance to sing or whatever, and then you have people that are, regularly play. And it all comes together. No one feels like they're left out, or everybody's included, and it's just that it becomes a really good team. And a lot of that's due to Becky's work in terms of leadership. I think she does a really good job of bringing people together and mixing things together. That arranging things so that people all feel like they're welcome and a valued part of and contributing part of the band. So. And it's obvious that because more and more people are doing it, more and more people come and decide to volunteer and participate, whether it's singing or plucking a guitar or whatever, or harmonica. So it's it just turns out to be a fun thing, and people are proud of it. We all obviously take some pride in the performance, so those are all things related to work as well, right? I mean, just getting people to work together and setting objectives and picking things out and organizing and kind of getting things together. So we have some leadership. So it's a really good thing for me, at least. That's my perspective on it.
Yeah, that's very important what we just say. And I would complement with a question for you, Becky. So that leadership that you had during that time, since you take, how you say that, since you started direct to the band, so what would you say that leadership that you have been having with the team made the team work happy and play that very good result that happened on that gathering?
I think some of it comes from just professional experience as a physician. I always had to bring a team together, and whether it was the people at my front desk scheduling patients and the nurses and the medics that were working with me, what I tried to do when I took over officially as the director is take an approach that this is make a joyful noise. This is not polished professional where, we're not going to have weekly rehearsals for 3 months. We're going to have 2 rehearsals before, one of which everybody's going to be jet lagged. So it was a matter of finding approachable songs that are that a lot of people can play, that a lot of people can sing, and then doing that whole democratic process and sending out emails and, what are people interested in this year, and picking songs based on how much enthusiasm I was getting back on the emails and on the Zoom meetings. And I direct a small a cappella women's choir here locally. So just the experience of just, somebody has to start it. I mean, when you've got a group that's singing a song, unless they're, very polished professionals that have been practicing together a long time, you need somebody to start and say, okay, thank you for giving me permission to wave the baton and be the leader. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And make it inclusive, make it approachable, make it fun. So
that's really important what you just say. And Nathan, since you are a very professional on music, and what would you say that part of the knowledge that you have in music, you can transmit that to the rest of the team?
Yeah, and I'm very happy to say that a big part of who I am, whenever I'm performing, especially when I'm performing my own music, I'm very much about inclusion. I want to get people singing along. I want to get people involved. I hate, I'm the entertainer and you're the audience. I try to really create one of my favorite phrases is it's not about me, it's about we, it's about us. So I very much carry that mentality into the group. So I was the only person with an amplifier. And I thought, okay, that's great. I can turn up if I need to. And it's not about me, it's about us. So I want to find the perfect volume so I can support and hear what everybody else is doing. And I think that I did that. So I wasn't front and center. I was standing at the back. And, I like being that foundation guy. And I got a chance to do that in this situation and really appreciate the energy of the ensemble. So that's what I brought to the mix.
And then, Chuck, you were the one playing the harmonic. So, for how long have you been playing that?
So it was one of those situations where my grandmother, probably when I was 5 years old, she gave me a toy harmonica, and I think I was playing something like "The Dawning of the Age of Aquarius" on it.
Okay.
And my parents said, "Gee, he could play that thing. We should get him a real harmonica." So
Okay.
it kind of went from there. And then for a while there, I kind of lost it and just started playing stringed instruments. And then, of course, you can play with the brace. So
Okay.
that really was like a 2-for-1 deal. So you get to play that. And one of the things I also want to say about the group, great choice of keys. sometimes you have a song that people like, but sometimes the key of the song is inaccessible to the average bear out there. It's Mariah Carey sings a great song, but she's up in the stratosphere or something like that. So good choice of keys, Becky, and whoever was choosing that.
We've learned that, right? I mean, over the years.
I'm sure.
And when you go to Becky with a song, and if it's not in a good key, you have to either work it out so that it is or not, and it doesn't get picked. So it's just the way it works. So because we try to be inclusive, right? I mean, that's the idea.
We've transposed all kinds of stuff into it. So it's not only can people sing it, can the ukuleles play it, because the ukulele chords aren't necessarily the same as the guitar chords. And I've played guitar in the past. I can't anymore because of some of the damage in one of my arms from the car accident. Learned how to play ukulele in the last couple of years. So I'm aware of which chords just don't work, and trying to keep the music approachable for all of the all of the backyard musicians that are coming in to join us.
Yes, all of you have been doing a terrific job in what you did on the gathering, and I know there's a lot of behind the scenes, and not just you are the representative of the whole group, but there are a lot of work behind the scenes that we are not seeing here. And then the other thing is that there is a lot of, it's always present, the spirit of the Camino de Santiago. It's always present, and what I'm most surprised about the Camino is that no matter what, in the majority, but great majority of cases, everybody is super happy when start a conversation or are walking the Camino. And I don't know how that can happen, because you have blister and you still with a smile. I cannot understand that. What would you say? And this is going to be the last question because we are almost over the time. So anybody, what would you say about that? What is that happiness regarding the Camino? Anyone?
Well, it's the power of a shared experience. You're doing something completely out of your normal routine, and most of us, traveling in a foreign country. So all this newness, all this, I was going to say thrust. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't feel like that for some people. Maybe it's not as, but it's a big deal. You've traveled several thousand miles in some cases. In our cases, everybody on this call, you're in a foreign country, different language. You don't know the drill. You don't know how the locals feel about what you're doing. I thought many times, as I would walk through any small town, I wonder what it's like to have grown up in a place and be 70, 80, 90 years old and see foreigners walking through your town every day of your life. Like, I can't even begin to imagine. So, of course, I felt some attitude isn't the right word, but I definitely felt like, we were intruding on some people's space and other people that were welcoming. But anyway, there's just all this stuff going on. And the only link is everybody else is doing it with you. So you end up having conversations about that to begin with, comparing blisters or where did you stay or whatever. And then because you have no idea if you're going to see anybody ever again, you end up going to these really deep places with people in less than an hour. You just feel free to just bare your soul. And you have no idea if you're ever going to see them again. And then sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. But it's this surrender to being in the present, which is incredibly powerful for all of us. I think that's what the drug is. I think that's why we all want to do it so often. Is like we don't get a chance. Our lives are so busy in North America that we don't get a chance to be as present as we would like to. And walking a Camino enables us to do that in a way that we can't at home. Of course, my personal goal is to try to live that as much as, I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I very much want to live my life more and more like that here They say the Camino really begins when you come home. So that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, okay, yeah, of course I can go and experience nirvana somewhere else, but how can I experience that joy, that peace, that connection right here?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Anybody else wants to add something else?
Yeah, it's a shared experience, and it's a very positive experience. Everybody's got the same goal. They're going someplace. It's nice that there's nice scenery to see, nice food to eat, nice, vino and cerveza to drink. My first Camino, my husband came with me. Most of the Caminos I've walked, I've actually done solo. And he loved it. And I think one of the experiences that I had as a child growing up that my husband never did, it felt like church camp. You're away from home for a period of time without the extraneous stuff. I'm not paying my bills. I'm not, sweeping up the dust on the front steps. All I have to do is walking. It's very pure walking meditation while I'm walking. And all of these people on the Camino with me, that everybody's got the same goal. Everybody's helping each other, sharing moleskin and compete or tips on this is a really cool albergue when you get to this town. And I don't think my husband had ever experienced that with a group. But just the natural community that forms. It's just a very positive, very holistic community, I think.
Okay, thank you very much for all that comments. And I don't know if you have a few more minutes for Nathan to play the Chapman Stick, or
oh yeah,
are you tired? Okay, and you're on mute, Nathan.
Yep. Well, let me just play. Is that volume okay? So, just to quickly demonstrate, take me home, country roads, to the place where I belong, West Virginia.
Santiago,
exactly. There you go. But I think what would be most appropriate is I actually, just before I just did my third Camino, the Portuguese coastal, and it was, well, you can't compare the Francais and the Portuguese. They're completely different. But I walked the Portuguese twice, once in last September, and it was very challenging. I had all kinds of things that went awry. So it was great to go back in June and do it, in May, June, and do it better. But just before I left, I wrote a chant which actually turned out to be very useful as I was walking. And it's called I Walk, I Breathe. And I in particular, I'm mentioning it because when I started this Camino, like all of us, just kind of trying to disconnect from all the noise in my own head, it was a useful chant for me to recite as I was walking, especially when I'd be walking like on a busy traffic route. It was good to put in my earplugs and just be reciting this and not be listening to the traffic. And the beauty, of course, of the Caminos is over time I didn't need this chant anymore. I was quiet enough inside that it was enough for me to just listen to my own breath, the sound of the waves, the sound of the birds, whatever else was going on. But anyway, I just wanted to play this. It became, I actually developed it as I was walking. It was a one-part chant. Now it's a three-part chant, so I'll just sing each of the three parts, but they all do and can fit together. It's called I Walk, I Breathe. 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 Second part. Let left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. Third part. Take comfort in each step. Take comfort in each breath.
Oh, that's a pretty nice song. Thank you very much for playing that.
My pleasure.
So, and related to the Camino because you created by walking the Camino. So that's super nice. Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I appreciate a lot your time today. And thank you, pilgrims, for watching us. Please keep adding your comments to the comment sections. That way we know what other episodes do we need to record, who guests we need to bring, and all that. Thank you very much. And buen camino, everyone.
Buen
Buen
camino.
Camino.
Buen
Buen
Camino.
Camino. Thank you.